Hey, Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and work continues on the Carson top on the 39 Ford. Had a visit with the owner again yesterday about how he wants this to look. So I'm going to start progressing on getting the rest of the top created, tacked in so that he can come for final approval and the upholstery guy can come for final approval. The owner of the car just got back from Florida, vacation in Florida. Before they left, he and his wife, I said, hey, are you going to be near Ocala? And he said, yeah, we drive through it. And I said, if you have time, you need to go to the Garlits Museum down there and check it out, because Don has some fascinating stuff in that museum. If you're ever in Florida, I can't recommend it enough. Take an entire day and just plan on going through it. I'm not sure you can see everything in there in an entire day. I mean, it's just incredible what Don has accumulated over his life, and he has this great museum down in Ocala, Florida. And while they were there, they picked me up a Garlits shirt, so I'm giving them a shout out here. It's a pocket tee. It's got Don Garlits Museum of Drag Racing on the front, on the pocket. And then it's got his lifetime accomplishments on the back. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but I like t-shirts, and they managed to pick me up this t-shirt. So thanks a lot, Bud and Sheila. I sure do appreciate it. Wanted to give them a shout out about it. So let me put this up someplace safe. I'm gonna stop the video so I can do that. Back to work. The upholstery guy wanted to keep the wooden bow at the back, and Bud and I talked about, Bud's the owner, Bud and I talked about the drop from the last crossbow that I'm putting in to this bow, and he likes this position where it was basically when his dad had the car. So we're going to stick with that. And normally I wouldn't keep all of this back here, but like I said, the upholstery guy wants to have it. And so that made life a little bit easier for me, because then I didn't have to work out how I was going to attach the back of the roof. Basically, there are two screws that go through this hinge right here on either side. There's two here, two here. They had slotted screws, which I'm not a big fan of. So I went ahead and got Allen head. He'll have to have a 5/32 Allen on a 3/8 drive socket. With an extension and a ratchet. Take two bolts out here, two bolts out here, and then those three across the front, and him and somebody else can lift the top off and take it off the car, drive it as a drop top. We talked about what we want the upholstery guy to do as far as the snaps and a boot and all of that. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have the upholstery guy in here as soon as I get the crossbows put in and tacked up, so that he can say, yeah, that's going to work for him. Then I can finish welding it, get it painted, and get it to the upholstery guy. So what I'm going to do today is I've got the channels basically done. They need a little bit of cleanup, but other than that, they're ready to go. And so I need to find a way to attach it to this upright that's on here. This upright is also going to serve as the mount for the third bow that I put in. So I can get it back as far as I possibly can. I'm going to have to cut it off once I get everything mounted. I've thought about how I want to attach it, and I believe first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tack weld it directly to the part, and then I'm going to put 3 tabs in. I'm going to put one on the front about halfway, and then 2 on the back, one near the top and one near the bottom, so that it'll tie together, triangulate it, and make it good and rigid. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to get started with the welder, and we'll go from there. Before I cut the tabs, I want to kind of get this locked in, because basically right now this is very floppy, this is sort of floppy, and I need to get it locked to a location so that they're tied in, so I can get a good measurement to make the tabs, and then when I set the tabs in place, I have a good spot to catch it so that it welds well. I can get it tacked up over here and then move it over to the bench to finish welding it. So what I'm going to do right off the bat, there's a spot where this part touches this part, and so I'm going to put a good healthy tack in there. to lock it in. Okay, that's got this side done. Okay, with that, this back part is locked in. And so now I'll go to the bandsaw and make the 6 tabs to really reinforce this, and then take it over to the bench and get her locked in. I've got the tabs cut out. They're just basically the material that I made the channel out of, about 14 gauge, 15 gauge. And they range in width from actually ½ inch wide to 7/8 inch wide, and there's a 1 inch long one on each side and then 2.5 inch long ones on each side. I was trying to get them all the same size, but unfortunately that original crossbow basically is different from side to side enough, so I got them close, hit a good compromise. I think you can't look at both sides of the car at the same time. And I think I've got it close enough to where you look at one side, look at the other side, and they'll look like mirror copies of each other. So right now what I'm going to do, I've got the other side already tacked in, the right side's tacked in. I'm going to go ahead and tack in the left side right now. One thing that I did have to do, and I'm hoping it'll work, I tried it with my bare hands and it hurts. So the MIG gloves are too bulky to make this work. So I've got my TIG gloves on to give me some protection from the heat, and we'll see if I can't hold this in place and get it tacked in. So let's see if I can't get this fit up and get it tacked. So those are all tacked in. I'll get it over to the workbench and finish welding them up. But already this has become a lot more rigid than it was. This is really good. Before I pull it off, one of the things I want to do is get this top marked and cut off. I want the top of this to be at the same level as the inside of this channel, so that when I make my hoops, the location of this end of the hoop and weld will be the same as the middle one and the front one. And it'll also get rid of all this nasty weld that's on here. It doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, but it needs to be really close. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I made my marks. I used the square to locate the bottom of the channel. Doesn't hurt to double check. It looks really good because I'm having to bend the square just a little bit to make it work. And then I'll come in here. This has just got booger welds all over it. Okay, I'll do that, do the same thing on the other side, and we'll get her taken care of. I'm ready to take it off now. I've got the tops of these cut off. Again, side to side, they're not the same for whatever reason. On the other side, this back leg has been chopped off. So I wanted to come back as far as I can on this one to put the crossbow in, but I'm probably going to have to put it about right there. But they're basically in line with the channel now, give or take a 1/16 of an inch. They're in pretty good shape. So I've got that going for me there. I went ahead and it's really nice and rigid now. Unfortunately, if you measure from the back wooden crossbow down to the Dutchman panel or whatever that's called, you'll find that this side here is a 1/2 inch lower than that side over there. So I'm probably going to have to, they've got booger welds on all of this. Unfortunately, it's pretty rigid. Probably what I'll end up doing is putting a slight cut in there, lift this up and weld it to get that squared away to where it's even across from side to side. Next step, I'll be taking this off and finishing these welds up in here over on the workbench. But right now, I'm breaking for lunch. I was able to get the top off the car without too much trouble, so I thought I would come out and burn these tabs in while I'm waiting on the oven to preheat. So this way I don't get a whole bunch of sparks on the car. And again, I've decided to use the MIG just because it's quick and I'm working with some stuff that's dirty. That gets those welded up. They'll need to be ground down because this has got a combination of paint. I don't know what some of the black stuff is. And then it's also got brass in here because they, as I'm getting into this, some of this is not weld, it's brazing. So, but I've got it down to good parent metal. I've got good welds in here. So this basically now is a rigid piece. I've got a little bit of work to do on this to try and figure out what I'm doing here. And then it'll go back on the car, and I'll start working on this back wooden hoop to see if I can't get it sorted out. And then on to the 3 main hoops at the top. So we're making progress. Now I'm gonna go eat lunch. Okay, so I got the welding done on the tabs back here. Got this all situated. I haven't done anything about getting this level yet, but like I said, I'm probably going to have to raise that up about a ½ an inch. But basically I've got the tabs, and I obviously need to clean the welds up, and I've got the tops cut down so that the bow will go in there. And off camera, I did make the front bow. I'm still going to need to get the owner to buy off on the amount of rise on the and I've got to adjust it just a little bit, but basically it kicks up just about 3/4 of an inch at that front bow, and I think that's pretty good. I was going to show you the layout and some of the bending on the back bow, but I've got storms rolling in with hail, and I've got to get the shop lined out so I can put the wife's car inside. So I'm done for the day. So I'll be posting this tonight. In the meantime, keep watching. By all means, like the video. Please like the video. If you got any comments or questions, please put them in the comments, questions, and I'll be glad to get back to you. Any criticism that you have, I would gladly accept. And then most importantly, please subscribe to my video. Tell your friends about it and subscribe. For now, Chopper Bob out.